Welcome back to the channel. We have 6 nights on the Gold Coast to experience 4 of the GC's famous theme parks. Top of our list is Movie World, which we review in this video. As you'll see, there are several reasons why we were sorely disappointed. We bought the 7-day, 4-park ticket for 179 Aussie dollars per person. This ticket allows unlimited access across Movie World, Wet n Wild, SeaWorld and Paradise Country. We're visiting outside of school holidays as we homeschool Grace, so that should make it a little less crowded. The first negative of the parks is that they're only open from 10 AM to 5 PM outside of school holidays and not much longer during the holidays, unlike say Disneyland with its very late hours of operation. The second unimpressive thing about the park was how slow the ticket booths operated. We had bought our tickets online, but instead of just being able to scan a QR code or something like that, we had to have paper-based passes printed at a booth with our photos on them, and then we had to manually scan those into the Warner Brothers app on our phones for the parks.
Even though there are only a couple of people ahead of us, it seems to take 7 or 8 minutes per person.
Another downside is if you don't have the app on your phone, or if you don't have a travel sim or roaming internet, you're going to be carrying a flimsy paper ticket around with you every day for 7 days. They also provide no paper map of where the rides are. You have to use the app or print out your own map in advance.
Alright, we're in. And there's the first thing I'm going to do, straight ahead of us there, the Superman escape.
He's never doing that.
Did you get a map or anything? They don't give you anything. You got to do it all through the app, which is annoying if you don't have local internet.
As we got there early and it was in school time, it was relatively deserted, especially along here toward the kids-focused rides. Unfortunately, it also meant that some of the rides were closed, as you'll see later in the video. Our first stop was Warner Brothers Kids area to ease Grace into the rides with some less scary ones. But the next disappointment we noticed was that many of the rides didn't open promptly at 10 AM despite the late start time. Workers were still testing that their rides were ready to operate well after 10 o'clock. This meant that queues started to form immediately before the rides even got going, and Grace couldn't start with her first choice, which was the easy carousel ride to warm up. This meant that first up was the Road Runner roller coaster.
We are at our first ride. It's going to be awesome. Grace and I are going to check this one out together. She's probably a bit nervous as usual, and then she'll get on and love it.
No bags, cameras, phones or hats are allowed on the faster rides for obvious reasons, but that means I had to film the Roadrunner as a spectator rather than POV. It turned out that the Roadrunner was actually quite a thrill ride. Many of the adults on it, including me, got a shock at how fast it was, but I really enjoyed it. Grace found it a bit much, but to her credit, she did it one more time with Mum. Then it was off to something much more sedate, Yosemite Sam's Railroad. This seems to be aimed at very young kids. It was literally walking pace slow on a flat track. The highlight was getting shouted at by a staff member who actually stopped the ride because I was filming while seated and while keeping my arms inside the vehicle, which was traveling at perhaps 5 miles an hour. An emerging theme was that the Warner Brothers Kids section, other than the Roadrunner roller coaster, was focused very much on super young kids. I'd say kids under 8 or kids with no appetite for thrill rides at all. The next ride we attempted, Sylvester and Tweety Cages, was for really small kids. After standing in the queue for several minutes, we found out that Grace was too tall for it at only 148 centimeters, which is about 4'11". And on the carousel, only kids could sit on the horses, which we haven't experienced at other theme parks around the world. So Grace pretty much had to do the ride alone, which is not as enjoyable for her. There is a fair bit going on in the center of the park, which is quite good, like this dance activity, again for very young kids if you have those, with Bugs Bunny and his crew. And And there are superheroes and celebrities of the past walking down the main street for photo opportunities. One thing we had not expected, and that was good fun, was the live action show. Check this out, especially if you're into cars or motor racing.
Alright, so we're about to watch the stunt driving show here. And didn't even know that this is happening, but I'm just going to check it out.
We're here just a couple of days before Halloween, so they've got the Halloween theme going strong here.
The log flume was an exciting ride, with a few more surprises than just the one big splash at the end, so watch out for that, it's worth doing. But once again, signage and staff were really lame. I stood in the queue for maybe 40 minutes, even though it wasn't that busy, because staff didn't bother to tell me that there was a single rider queue that would have taken around a quarter of the time. When I raised it with them, they shrugged and said, "Oh well, you're here now." There was a pattern of staff being unsmiling, almost miserable on all the rides, and they were unbelievably slow, almost as if they'd been instructed to keep the queues growing or to reduce the number of rounds that the rides did in a day. This is not an attitude we've seen at Disneyland or Legoland or other theme parks we've visited around the world, and it was really disappointing. You're allowed to bring in water and some basics, but they generally want you to buy your food at their absurdly overpriced venues. We did, however, see other visitors bringing in all their own food. I'm guessing they'd been before, or they'd been warned about how much the food costs and how poor the quality is.
Food and drink is an absolute fortune here. We ended up having lunch in here. We had 2 pies, a sandwich, and a Turkish bun with some pretty basic fillings. That was 37 Aussie dollars for those 4 items. Pies were $8 each. So that was the cheapest option you could find. These other places here, you'll pay $10 for a single slice of pizza or thereabouts. $20 if you want a slice of pizza, a hot dog and a drink. So one of the main rides I was looking forward to here, the Justice League 3D ride, is closed. So that's a real disappointment. So it's now 2:30. We've only been here since 10 o'clock. But we're on our way out. I think we've done enough for today of the things we're actually going to do. Overall thoughts here? Mum?
Can you hear me? I don't know. Customer service, bad.
Yeah, not good.
Really, like, no
Rude,
one here seems to have joy
uninterested.
in their job.
Yeah.
And if
Not
you've
at
been
all.
to other theme parks in the world, then you will know that is a big part of your experience, is the happiness and joy that comes from the people getting you onto the ride and off the ride and meeting you in the street.
Yeah.
Food, unbelievably expensive, and you're not allowed to bring food in, although we've seen lots of people who did. We didn't break that rule, but I can see why people do. And there seems to be this like rides for really tiny kids and rides for crazy enthusiastic adults, and then in between, which is more where we are, there seems to be nothing, and there are a lot of merchandise shops.
Yeah, it's mostly about trying to get you to buy more stuff when you've already paid a lot of money to be in here.
Yeah.
Like Elizabeth said, you go to Disneyland or Legoland, the staff actually look really happy to be working there. Here, everything is too much work for them. They're very glum. They don't volunteer information, and yeah, quite disappointing actually. But hey, we did see Marilyn Monroe in the background there.
No map. I had to go and ask for a paper map, and even then they didn't want to give me one.
They assume you have Wi-Fi, which we do have. We do have the app, but that was another thing, just trying to register our tickets on the app. so that we can use it for the next 7 days was also quite hard.
And if you've got a map on a phone, you're in this bright sunlight, it's almost impossible to constantly look for it. You can put it away to go on a ride and then get it out again. And
Yeah.
it just felt a bit,
Yeah,
I
so
don't know, everything felt like a bit of a faff.
5 or a 6 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, same, 6.
Grace, anything to add in an adult way?
Well, all the rides, the roller coaster, and it was so intense I literally had to close my eyes. I couldn't even scream because the gravity was pulling you down so hard. So overall, I give this place like a 3.
Oh, that's a rough score.
Grace might be feeling a little tired.
After Movie World, we still had 3 more theme parks to check out over the days that followed, and thankfully they were not all this bad. Make sure you subscribe and switch on notifications so you'll get our next video as it drops. What have your theme park experiences been like, and which ones would you rate as best? Leave your comments below if you like, and we'll see you next time. Take care.